Next region, olfactory cortex. The olfactory cortex, also known as the primary olfactory cortex or piriform cortex, plays a crucial role in processing olfactory information. In this essay, we will explore the parts, structure, functions, and importance of the olfactory cortex, as well as the potential defects that can affect olfactory perception. So, parts and structure. The olfactory cortex is located in the temporal lobe of the brain and consists of several interconnected areas. Piriform cortex. The piriform cortex is the primary olfactory cortex and it is responsible for the initial processing of olfactory stimuli. It receives input from the olfactory bulb, where odorant molecules are detected by olfactory receptor neurons. The piriform cortex has a three-layered structure allowing for the integration and analysis of olfactory information. Then, entorhinal cortex. The entorhinal cortex is adjacent to the piriform cortex and is involved in the transfer of olfactory information to higher brain regions such as the hippocampus. It plays a role in olfactory memory and the formation of olfactory associations. Then amygdala and orbitofrontal cortex. The amygdala and orbitofrontal cortex receives projections from the olfactory cortex and are involved in the emotional and hedonic aspects of olfaction. They contribute to the formation of emotional response and the evaluation of odors. Some functions. The olfactory cortex performs several key functions related to olfactory perception and processing. Then odor discrimination. The piriform cortex plays a crucial role in discriminating between different odors and recognizing odor patterns. It helps in identifying and distinguishing various smells. Then olfactory memory. The entorhinal cortex and connections to the hippocampus are involved in the formation and retrieval of olfactory memories. Smell can evoke strong emotional and memory associations. Emotional and hedonic responses. The olfactory cortex, along with the amygdala and orbitofrontal cortex, contributes to emotional and hedonic responses to odors. Certain smells can elicit positive or negative emotional reactions. Then olfactory imagery. The olfactory cortex is involved in mental imagery of smells, allowing us to evoke olfactory sensations even in the absence of actual odorants. What is the importance? Olfactory cortex plays a crucial role in our daily lives and has several important implications. Then flavor perception. The olfactory cortex contributes significantly to our perception of flavor. The combination of taste and smell creates the rich sensory experience we associate with food and beverages. Then warning system. The olfactory system helps us detect potentially harmful substances such as spoiled food, toxic chemicals, or smoke. It serves as an early warning system for potential dangers in our environment. Then social interactions. Olfactory perception influences social interactions and communication. Smell can convey information about personal hygiene, emotions, and even sexual attraction. Then defects and disorders. Defects or disorders affecting the olfactory cortex can result in various olfactory dysfunction like anosmia. Anosmia refers to the loss of the sense of smell. Anosmia. It can result from damage or dysfunction in the olfactory cortex, olfactory nerves, or olfactory receptor neurons. Anosmia can affect one's ability to detect odors, perceive flavors, and experience emotional responses associated with this smell. Then hyposmia. Hyposmia refers to a reduced sense of smell. It can be caused by various factors such as viral infections, head trauma, or neurodegenerative diseases. Then dysosmia. Dysosmia refers to distortions in the perception of smells leading to abnormal or unpleasant olfactory sensations. Then next topic, Wernicke's area. Wernicke's area, also known as the posterior language area, is a critical region in the brain that is involved in language comprehension and formulation. Parts and structure. Wernicke's area is primarily located in the posterior part of the left superior temporal gyrus, which is typically found in the left hemisphere of the brain in right-handed individuals. It is situated in the dominant hemisphere, which is usually the left hemisphere for most individuals. Then Wernicke's area is part of a larger network of brain regions known as the perisylvian language area, which includes Broca's area and other surrounding regions. Then functions. The primary function of Wernicke's area is language comprehension. It plays a crucial role in processing and understanding spoken and written language. Key functions associated with this Wernicke's area include language comprehension. Wernicke's area is responsible for interpreting the meaning of words, sentences, and complex linguistic structures. It allows individuals to understand spoken and written language inputs. Then, semantic processing. Wernicke's area helps in the processing and integration of semantic information, including word meanings, concepts, and associations. It allows for the comprehension of the context and semantic relationships between words and sentences. Then, phonological processing. Wernicke's area is involved in processing the sounds and phonological aspects of language. It helps in recognizing and differentiating speech sounds, which is crucial for accurate language comprehension. Then, language formulation. Although Wernicke's area primarily focuses on language comprehension, it also contributes to language formulation. To some extent, it assists in the selection and retrieval of appropriate words and the organization of coherent and meaningful sentences. What is the importance? Wernicke's area is of paramount importance for language processing and communication. Its functions and contributions are essential in various aspects of human communication. Then, spoken language. Wernicke's area enables individuals to understand spoken language, including conversations, lectures, and verbal instructions. Then, written language. It plays a vital role in reading comprehension, allowing individuals to understand written texts, interpret written instructions, and engage in written communication. Then, language development. Wernicke's area is crucial for language acquisition and development in children. It facilitates the comprehension of spoken language during early language learning programs or stages. Then, communication skills. The proper functioning of Wernicke's area is necessary for effective communication, allowing individuals to understand and respond appropriately in various social and professional settings. Then, defects and disorders. Damage or dysfunction of Wernicke's area can result in language disorders known as Wernicke's aphasia. Some characteristics and effects of Wernicke's aphasia include fluent but incoherent speech. Individuals with Wernicke's aphasia may exhibit fluent speech but struggle to convey meaningful information. Their speech may contain made up words, inappropriate word substitutions, or nonsensical sentences. Then, impaired language comprehension. Individuals with Wernicke's aphasia have difficulty understanding spoken and written language. They may struggle to comprehend the meaning of words, sentences, or conversations. Then, poor word retrieval. Individuals may experience difficulty in retrieving and using appropriate words. They may have difficulty expressing their thoughts accurately. Then, lack of awareness. A notable characteristic of Wernicke's aphasia is a limited awareness of language deficits. Individuals may be unaware of the errors or incoherences in their speech. Then, Brodmann map in detail. The Brodmann map, also known as the Brodmann areas, is a widely used cytoarchitectonic map of the human brain that divides the cerebral cortex into different regions based on cellular structure. So, parts and structure. The Brodmann map divides the cerebral cortex into 52 different areas numbered from Brodmann area 1 to Brodmann area 52. Each area is characterized by distinct cellular organization and connectivity patterns. The map is based on the microscopic examination of the cellular layers and composition of the cortex. The Brodmann map provides a structural and functional framework for understanding the organization of the cerebral cortex. Although the exact functional roles of each Brodmann area are still a topic of ongoing research, several general functions have been associated with certain areas, like sensory processing areas such as primary visual cortex, Brodmann area 17, primary auditory cortex, Brodmann area 41, and primary somatosensory cortex, Brodmann area 1, 2, and 3, are involved in the initial processing of visual, auditory, and somatosensory information respectively. Then, motor control, motor related areas including the primary motor cortex, Brodmann area 4, and premotor cortex, Brodmann area 6, play a crucial role in motor planning, execution, and coordination. Then, language processing, Broca's area or Brodmann area 42 and 45, and Wernicke's area, Brodmann area 22, are involved in language production and comprehension respectively. These areas are important for speech and language functions. Then, higher cognitive functions, areas in the prefrontal cortex such as the Dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, Brodmann areas 9 and 46, are associated with higher cognitive functions including working memory, decision making, and executive control. Then emotional processing. Areas such as the anterior cingulate cortex, Brodmann area 24, and the orbitofrontal cortex, Brodmann area 11, are involved in emotional processing, regulation, and decision making related to emotional stimuli. The importance. The Brodmann map provides a valuable tool for researchers and clinicians in understanding the functional organization of the cerebral cortex. It helps in studying brain function and mapping neural circuits associated with specific functions and behaviors. The map has been influential in guiding research on brain disorders, as abnormalities or dysfunction in specific Brodmann areas can be correlated with specific clinical symptoms or deficits. Then defects and disorders. Abnormalities or dysfunction in specific Brodmann areas can lead to various neurological and psychiatric disorders like aphasia. Damage to Broca's area or Wernicke's area can result in language disorders such as Broca's aphasia or Wernicke's aphasia, respectively, impairing language production or comprehension. Then motor disorders. Dysfunction in the primary motor cortex or premotor cortex can lead to motor impairments such as weakness, coordination difficulties, or paralysis. Then sensory deficits. Damage to primary sensory areas can result in sensory deficits such as visual impairments in the case of damage to the primary visual cortex. Then cognitive impairments. Dysfunction in prefrontal cortex areas associated with higher cognitive functions can result in cognitive impairments including difficulties in decision making, working memory, or executive functions. Then emotional disorders. Abnormalities in areas involved in emotional processing such as anterior regions, cerebral dominance. Next topic, cerebral dominance. Cerebral dominance, also known as the hemispheric specialization or lateralization, refers to the phenomenon in which certain cognitive functions are predominantly processed in one hemisphere of the brain. Cerebral dominance is primarily observed in the cerebral cortex, the outermost layer of the brain responsible for higher cognitive functions. The two hemispheres, the left and right, are connected by a thick bundle of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum, which facilitate communication and information exchange between the hemispheres. The two cerebral hemispheres have overlapping functions, but certain functions are predominantly associated with one hemisphere. Left hemispheric functions. The left hemisphere is typically associated with language processing, logical reasoning, analytical thinking, and sequential processing. It is often referred to as a dominant hemisphere for language in most right-handed individuals. Then right hemisphere functions. The right hemisphere is primarily involved in spatial processing, visual spatial skills, holistic thinking, creativity, emotional processing, and facial recognition. It plays a crucial role in non-verbal and intuitive aspects of cognition. Importance. Cerebral dominance is of significant importance as it allows for efficient and specialized processing of various cognitive functions. Some key aspects of its importance include language processing. Cerebral dominance facilitates efficient language processing, with the left hemisphere playing a dominant role in language production and comprehension. This specialization enables individuals to understand and produce spoken and written language effectively. Then, cognitive flexibility. Hemispheric specialization allows for the division of labor between the hemispheres, promoting cognitive flexibility and the ability to engage in multiple cognitive tasks simultaneously. Then, efficient information processing. Cerebral dominance allows for the simultaneous processing of different types of information, enhancing overall cognitive efficiency and performance. Then, specialized skills. Hemispheric specialization enables the development of specialized skills and experiences. For example, individuals with strong right hemisphere dominance may excel in spatial navigation, artistic abilities, or musical skills. Then, defects and imbalances. Imbalances or defects in cerebral dominance can result in certain neurological conditions and disorders. Some examples include language disorders. Individuals with language disorders, such as aphasia, can or may exhibit deficits in language production or comprehension due to damage or dysfunction in the dominant hemisphere for language, typically the left hemisphere. Then dyslexia. Dyslexia is a learning disorder characterized by difficulties in reading, spelling, and language processing. It may result from an imbalance or atypical functioning between the two hemispheres. Then apraxia. Apraxia is a motor planning disorder where individuals have difficulty executing purposeful and coordinated movements. It can be associated with receptions in the dominant hemisphere responsible for motor planning and execution. Then visuospatial disorders. Disorders affecting visuospatial skills and spatial processing, such as neglect syndrome or spatial agnosia, may arise from imbalances or lesions in the right hemisphere. Then, emotional disorders. Imbalances in hemispheric specialization can impact emotional processing, leading to emotional disorders such as depression, anxiety, or mood disturbances. So, in conclusion, cerebral dominance or hemispheric specialization is an important aspect of brain functioning, facilitating efficient processing of various cognitive functions. The left hemisphere predominantly handles language processing and analytical thinking, while the right hemisphere excels in spatial processing, creativity, and emotional recognition. Imbalances or defects in cerebral dominance can lead to specific cognitive impairments and neurological conditions. And understanding cerebral dominance helps us comprehend the complexity of brain function and the diverse capabilities of human mind. Next topic, cortical white matter. Cortical white matter is a critical component of the brain's structure, consisting of myelinated nerve fibers that form the communication network within the cerebral cortex. So, cortical white matter is composed of bundles of myelinated nerve fibers known as axons that connect different regions of the cerebral cortex. It forms a complex network of interconnections, allowing for communication between various cortical regions and facilitating coordinated brain function. The main functions of cortical white matter include interconnectivity. The primary role of cortical white matter is to facilitate communication between different regions of the cerebral cortex. It enables the transmission of electrical signals and the integration of information across distant cortical areas. Then, information processing. Cortical white matter plays a crucial role in information processing by transmitting signals between different regions involved in sensory perception, motor control, cognition, and memory. It enables the integration and coordination of neural activity across the cortex. Then, signal speed and efficiency. The myelination of axons in cortical white matter increases the conduction speed of nerve impulses, allowing for rapid and efficient communication between cortical regions. This enhances the overall processing speed and effectiveness of brain function. Cortical white matter is essential for the normal functioning of the brain and has several key importance, like integration of cognitive functions. Cortical white matter enables the integration of various cognitive functions, including perception, attention, memory, language, and executive functions. It allows for the coordinated processing and exchange of information between different brain regions involved in these functions. Then, higher order processing. Cortical white matter plays a critical role in higher order cognitive processes such as abstract thinking, problem solving, decision making, and complex reasoning. It facilitates the integration of information from different sources and supports cognitive flexibility. Then, motor control. White matter pathways in the cortical regions involved in motor control enable the transmission of motor commands from the brain to the muscles. These pathways allow for precise and coordinated movements. Then, defects and abnormalities. Abnormalities or defects in cortical white matter can have significant implications for brain function. Some examples include white matter lesions. White matter lesions, also known as leukoariosis or white matter hyperintensities, are areas of damaged or degenerated white matter. These lesions can result from various conditions including vascular diseases, multiple sclerosis, or aging. They can disrupt the transmission of signals and lead to cognitive impairments. Then, white matter disorders. There are specific disorders that primarily affect cortical white matter, such as leukodystrophies, which are genetic disorders characterized by abnormalities in myelin production or maintenance. These disorders can result in motor and cognitive deficits. Then, white matter degeneration. Age-related white matter degeneration is commonly observed in elderly population. It can be associated with cognitive decline, memory impairment, and increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's disease. So, in conclusion, cortical white matter is a crucial component of the brain structure responsible for interconnecting different regions of the cerebral cortex and facilitating communication and integration of information. It plays a vital role in various cognitive functions, including perception, attention, memory, language, and executive functions. Defects or abnormalities in cortical white matter can lead to significant disruptions in brain function and contribute to cognitive impairments. Understanding the structure, functions, and importance of cortical white matter helps us appreciate the intricate network that underlies brain communication and cognition. Next topic, cortical white matter commissures. Cortical white matter commissures are specialized bundles of nerve fibers that connect corresponding areas of the cerebral cortex. So, cortical white matter commissures are specialized bundles of nerve fibers that connect corresponding areas of the cerebral cortex in the two hemispheres of the brain. Some parts and structure. Corpus callosum. Cortical white matter commissures consist of three major bundles of nerve fibers like corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is the largest commissural pathway in the brain. It connects corresponding areas of the cerebral cortex between the two hemispheres. It is divided into several subdivisions such as the rostrum, genu, body, and splenium. Anterior commissure. The anterior commissure is a smaller commissural pathway located in the anterior part of the brain. It connects specific regions of the frontal and temporal lobes between the hemispheres. Then posterior commissure. The posterior commissure is a small bundle of nerve fiber located at the posterior midline of the brain. It connects certain regions of the visual pathways and is involved in visual coordination. The cortical white matter commissures play critical roles in brain function and information processing. Interhemispheric communication. The primary function of cortical white matter commissure is facilitate communication and coordination between two hemispheres of the brain. They enable the transfer of information including sensory, motor, and cognitive signals between corresponding areas of the cerebral cortex. Then integration of information. The commissures allow for the integration of information from both hemispheres, enabling the brain to have a unified perception and coordinated response. They help in the integration of sensory inputs, motor control, language processing, and higher cognitive functions. Then bilateral representation. Cortical white matter commissures ensure that both hemispheres receive and process information from both sides of the body. This bilateral representation is essential for coordinated motor control and sensory processing. Its importance. Cortical white matter commissures are critical for various aspects of brain function. Hemispheric specialization. The commissures allow each hemisphere to specialize in certain functions while still maintaining communication and integration. This specialization contributes to the diversity and efficiency of brain processing. Then language and communication. The commissures, particularly the corpus callosum, play a crucial role in language processing and communication. They enable the exchange of information between the language dominant left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, which contribute to language comprehension and production. Then cognitive processes. Cortical white matter commissures facilitate the integration of information from different brain regions, supporting complex cognitive processes such as attention, memory, problem solving, and decision making. They contribute to the holistic functioning of the brain. Then defects and abnormalities. Agenesis or dysgenesis. Agenesis or dysgenesis of the corpus callosum is a condition where the corpus callosum fails to develop or develops abnormally. This can result in various neurological and cognitive defects such as impaired interhemispheric communication, motor coordination, difficulties, and cognitive impairments. Then disconnection syndrome. In cases where the cortical white matter commissures are damaged or severed, as in the colossotomy, surgical separation of the corpus callosum, disconnection syndromes may occur. The symptoms can manifest as impairments in communication between the hemispheres, including split brain phenomena, where information cannot be transferred between the hemispheres. Then cortical white matter association fibers. Cortical white matter association fibers are specialized bundles of nerve fibers that connect different regions within the same cerebral hemisphere. They facilitate communication and integration between different cortical areas, allowing for coordinated and complex brain functions. In this essay, we will discuss the structure and functions of cortical white matter association fibers in detail. So, cortical white matter association fibers can be categorized into two main types: short association fibers. These fibers are relatively short and connect neighboring cortical areas within the same lobe of the brain. They facilitate communication between adjacent areas, allowing for local processing and integration of information. Then long association fibers. The fibers are longer and connect cortical areas in different lobes of the same hemisphere. They enable communication between distant regions, facilitating the integration of information across different brain regions. Cortical white matter association fibers play several critical roles in the brain. Interhemispheric integration. While commissural fibers connect corresponding areas between the two hemispheres, association fibers connect known corresponding areas within the same hemisphere. These fibers enable the integration of information from different cortical regions, allowing for a holistic understanding and processing of complex tasks. Then, higher cognitive functions. Association fibers are vital for higher cognitive processes, including attention, memory, language, reasoning, and problem solving. They facilitate the coordinated activity between different cortical areas involved in this cognitive processes, allowing for efficient information processing and integration. Then, sensory motor integration. Association fibers connect sensory areas with motor areas, enabling the integration of sensory inputs with motor commands. This integration is crucial for coordinated movement and sensory guided actions. Perception and interpretation. Cortical white matter association fibers play a crucial role in perception and interpretation of sensory information. They facilitate the integration of sensory inputs from different modalities, allowing for the construction of a coherent perceptual experience. Then, language and communication. Association areas connecting different language related areas in the cerebral cortex are involved in language processing and communication. They enable the integration of information involved in language comprehension, production, and semantic processing. Then, emotional processing. Association fibers connecting cortical regions involved in emotional processing, such as the prefrontal cortex, amygdala, and limbic system, contribute to emotional regulation and affective responses. The proper functioning of cortical white matter association fibers is crucial for various aspects of brain function, like integration of information. Association fibers facilitate the integration of information from different cortical regions, enabling the brain to process and interpret complex stimuli and tasks effectively. Then, cognitive flexibility. The connectivity provided by association fibers allows for cognitive flexibility and adaptive responses. It enables the brain to switch between different cognitive processes, shift attention, and engage in flexible problem solving. Then, complex behavior. Association fibers are necessary for the coordination of complex behavior, such as decision making, planning, and executing goal directed actions. Then, learning and memory. The integration of information through association fibers is vital for learning and memory processes. It enables the formation and retrieval of memories by connecting different brain regions involved in encoding, storage, and retrieval of information. Then, neurological disorders. Defects or damage to association fibers can lead to neurological disorders such as aphasia or language impairments, agnosia, perceptual impairments, apexia, motor planning difficulties, and executive dysfunction. Then, cortical white matter projection fibers. Projection fibers are a type of nerve fibers. Cortical white matter projection fibers are a type of nerve fibers that connect the cerebral cortex with other regions of the brain and spinal cord. These fibers transmit signals between the cortex and subcortical structures, allowing for the control of voluntary movement, sensory processing, and communication between different brain regions. Its structure. Cortical white matter projection fibers consist of two major types of fibers, like internal capsule. The internal capsule is a compact bundle of nerve fibers located in the subcortical region of the brain. It contains both ascending sensory and descending motor fibers. The internal capsule connects the cerebral cortex with various subcortical structures such as the thalamus, basal ganglia, and brain stem. Then, corona radiata. The corona radiata is a fan-shaped arrangement of nerve fibers that radiate from the internal capsule to the cerebral cortex. It consists of both ascending and descending fibers, forming a dense network of connections between the cortex and subcortical structures. Cortical white matter projection fibers play several important functions in the brain, like motor control. Descending projection fibers, also known as Corticospinal tracts originate in the motor cortex and extend to the spinal cord. These fibers carry motor signals from the cortex to the spinal cord. These fibers carry motor signals from the cortex to the spinal cord, enabling voluntary control of movements. The corticospinal tracts are responsible for fine motor control and skilled movements. Then sensory processing. Ascending projection fibers such as the thalamocortical tracts transmit sensory information from the thalamus to the cerebral cortex. These fibers are involved in relaying sensory inputs such as touch, temperature, pain, and proprioception to the appropriate sensory areas of the cortex for processing and interpretation. Then integration and communication. Cortical white matter projection fibers facilitate communication and integration between different brain regions. They connect to the cortex with subcortical structures involved in emotion, memory, attention, and other cognitive processes. These connections allow for the integration of information from different brain regions, enabling complex cognitive functions. Then language processing. Specific projection fibers, such as the arcuate fasciculus, are involved in language processing. These fibers connect language-related areas such as Broca's area and Wernicke's area, facilitating the transmission of language-related information for speech production and comprehension. Then emotion and reward. Projection fibers connecting the cortex with subcortical structures such as the amygdala and nucleus accumbens play a role in emotional processing and reward-related behaviors. Then importance. Cortical white matter projection fibers are essential for various brain functions like voluntary movement. The corticospinal tracts enable the initiation and execution of voluntary movements, providing precise control and coordination. Then sensory perception. Projection fibers facilitate the transmission of sensory information to the cortex, allowing for the perception and interpretation of sensory stimuli. Then cognitive functions. The connections established by projection fibers are critical for cognitive functions including attention, memory, decision making, and problem solving. Then language and communication. Projection fibers connecting language related areas are vital for language processing, speech production, and comprehension. Then neural circuitry. Cortical white matter projection fibers contribute to the intricate neural circuitry of brain, allowing for complex information processing and communication between different brain regions. So in summary, cortical white matter projection fibers are essential for motor control, sensory processing, integration of information, language, and cognitive functions. They form the communication pathways between the cerebral cortex and other brain regions. Next topic, corpus callosum, will be dealt with the help of next video. Thank you for listening.